Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing today? I'm back. Did you miss me? It feels surreal to be filming over on this channel. I don't even know, you know what? I don't even know how many days it's been since I have filmed on this channel. Let me look. I think it's been like, well, I feel like I filmed a video maybe last Friday. Let's see. It has been, pull up my videos. It has been 9 days since I have filmed a video over on this channel, and it seems surreal. For those of you that do not know what's going on with me or what was going on with me, I was passing a kidney stone. Now, we believe that I have passed the kidney stone, but I have imaging on Thursday, and so I will definitively know on Thursday whether or not my urologist scheduled imaging for me on Thursday. So I will know definitively on Thursday whether or not I have passed this kidney stone, but I am over the pain now. I feel much better. And so yeah, so all last week I wasn't filming any videos, and I went to the emergency room, went to doctor's appointments. It's been real fun. It's been really fun. For anybody out there that has ever gone through having kidney stones or passing a kidney stone, it's a whole lot of fun, let me just tell you. So I've gotten behind kind of a little bit in the scandals and the drama of what's been going on, but thanks to you guys out there that direct message me. Well, first of all, I just want to say, to all the people that have been, I have been vlogging a little bit through that. I took a couple days off vlogging on my vlog channel, Peter Vlogs, where I vlog every single day. But I did take a couple days off, so I wasn't vlogging every single day. I took a couple days off just to rest and relax. But for people over there, I was putting up announcements that I wasn't going to be filming for a while. And just the amount of just unbelievably supportive, compassionate comments that I got from people going through that while I was going through this, and the direct messages, the emails. You guys have been so wonderful. And it's just, it's so surreal because, so I just made my booktube video for the day, announcing what is going to happen with the True Crime Book Club. So there's a huge change going on with the True Crime Book Club. So go over to my booktube channel if you want to follow along with that. But this week is my 9-year anniversary of starting my booktube channel, which was the very first channel that started all of this, where I was posting consistently on YouTube. The booktube channel was the very first channel that I posted consistently on YouTube. And so it feels surreal, that all these years later, 9 years later, that I have people, the kindness of strangers is just amazing to me. And I say that a lot in my vlog. The people that, have, reached out to me and just through the years, and, just the supportive, loving comments, on and on and on. The things that people have sent me, the cards that people have sent me. And, on my Peter Does Stuff channel, I do all those unboxings because I just think it's so sweet. The cameos people have bought for me. Just watching my videos is enough. And I always say that, but I have a life beyond my wildest dreams. I have an absolute life beyond my wildest dreams that I never, when I started 9 years ago making my very first booktube video, did I ever think would be what my life looks like today. And that's because of you guys watching my videos. And I'm so entirely grateful for that. I mean, I don't think you guys have any idea. The fact that I can even take a week off and not film any videos is because you guys are watching my videos. And that's just the coolest thing in the entire world. So thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you also for keeping me updated on what's going on in the world, like JoJo Siwa being on Celebrity Big Brother and, I don't know, breaking up and getting with somebody new because, or James Charles and the scandal that he's going through, which is actually kind of sad. But I appreciate you guys keeping me updated because I wasn't really watching a lot of that. I will say, I announced this in my vlog last night. I said I would never start because I have 7 channels currently. Somebody just told me the other day about somebody that has 10 channels on YouTube, and I thought, oh, no, ma'am, nobody has beaten my record. I'm going to have more channels than that. I am actually thinking about, I can't believe I'm saying this. I am actually thinking about starting an 8th channel. So I bought a lot of bird feeders and bird baths. If you watch my vlog, I talk about the birds. I talk to the birds. Last night, I named the goose Gertrude Stein, and the bird family, well, it was one bird at first. It's building a nest in my fern. I named the ferns. The new fern, we haven't come up with a name yet. I think we're just going to call her Fern Mayo from the movie Jawbreaker. I have Fernalicious and I have Farrah. They're still in the bathtub in the bathroom. They haven't been taken outside yet because it's getting cold outside. But anyway, I show the birds and all kinds of stuff. So I'm thinking about getting a bunch of trail cams and nature cameras and starting an 8th channel called Peter's Backyard. What do you think? And I would just show the wildlife around my house. I wouldn't talk or anything. It would just be like birds coming up to the camera and chirp, 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 all that kind of stuff. So anyway, always thinking. I'm always thinking of the next thing, you know? But anyway, so many people have reached out to me and they have asked me, what do I think about this whole James Charles situation? Okay. So I've read a couple things about it. I haven't watched all the videos. There's an interview. I haven't watched the entirety of that video. So this video is kind of like a preface to the video where I'm going to do covering the drama. So let me read to you the article that I found. I just Google searched and I was like, James Charles. And this was like this article that came up on, I think it was on the Facebook. But somebody like, they like explained everything that's going on with this. So I thought, okay, this is what I'm going to read for those of you that do not know. Because whenever I do these videos, there's always probably about half of the people in my audience that watch my videos and are like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Well, thank you for watching my video anyway. So this is from a Facebook account that I've never heard of before called Your Problematic Faves. Don't mind that title, though. I think that's a good title for a Facebook page. James Charles, 26. I didn't realize James Charles was 26. Is he 26? Hold on. Oh, I just got out of that. Now it's going to... I thought he was like 25. Well, I mean, it's 1 year difference. But I thought James Charles was 24, going to be 25. Is he 26 already? What's his birthday? I mean, he's in his upper 20s. Oh, it says he's 25. 25 years old, his birthday. Oh, he'll be 26 this month. That must be what they're referencing. Okay. So James Charles, 26, actually 25, is reportedly being canceled again. Okay, so to me, well, let's just read through this. It was reportedly being canceled again after allegedly sleeping with his friend, Kayla Malix, and if I'm mispronouncing her name, I'm sorry, I don't know her. Allegedly abusive ex-boyfriend. Last month, TikTok and YouTube influencer Kayla Malix, 20, posted a 2-hour video to her YouTube alleging that she was a victim of an extremely abusive relationship for the past 9 months. Shortly after the videos were posted, her ex-boyfriend, Evan Johnson, 20, was arrested on charges of domestic assault and a violation of his probation. Kayla later appeared on a podcast where she revealed that at Coachella, she found out that one of her close friends had betrayed her. She said that they admitted to the betrayal after being confronted, but she can't reveal more details due to the domestic violence court date being on May 7th. Another influencer by the name of Zach Sellers appeared on the Be Better podcast. That's the interview that I'm talking about that I haven't watched in its entirety, alleging that he saw flirty messages between Kayla's ex Evan and James Charles. He claims that James sent Evan nude photos of him bent over a bed, calling Evan daddy. There are now rumors circulating that James has been flying Evan out and sleeping with him in exchange for money and gifts, and that he may have even paid his bail. Videos in the comments. So it has in here all the comments listed below, which is interesting because I just a while ago was covering James Charles doing these, like he was asking for models in his, he wanted a redheaded model in, I'm just thinking out of the top of my head right now, but he wanted a redheaded model for his like ad campaign that he was doing, and people were like, well, and he said in Los Angeles, and they were saying like they live in Ohio and stuff. He's like, I can't fly you guys out there, like when we know that he flies, you know, people out all the time. But I guess that's his personal life, it's not his career. Or does he get them mixed up? I don't really know. But anyway, so people have been asking me to cover this. Like I said, I'm going to do a video covering everything. Once I've watched the interview, I'm going to watch her video. I want to watch the podcast interview that she did. I want to watch all that stuff I haven't watched. I've seen bits and clips of all of it. I've seen bits and clips of all of it, but I haven't watched it. And it's a very serious story. I've had a couple people like explain it to me, and basically what they're saying is that James Charles has kind of stood by this guy and like really defended him through this whole situation, on top of possibly allegedly being sleeping with him as well. I don't know. So that brings me to the next part of all of this, okay, is what do I think about this, before even getting into it. First of all, I think it's very, very sad. I take DV allegations very, very serious, as I think we all should, especially at that young, I mean, it's just, in any situation, but to be online and have to share that story, and people question you, and people not believe you, and it's just like, I can't even imagine being in that situation. You know, I've shared on here a lot, for those of you that don't know, that this is, I don't know why this would be your very first video of mine watching, but I'm 52 years old, and I got sober when I was 22 and a half, and I just celebrated 30 years sober, December 17th of 1994. That's my sobriety day. I just celebrated 30 years in December last year. And so I've said this a lot on videos, and the reason why I'm bringing that up, because everybody knows, and it's like, I talk about it nonstop, but it's the perception of how I see the world. I see the world through the eyes of being in recovery, number one. That's why I bring it up a lot. Number two, I I've said this a lot, that I don't know that in my first, 5 years of being sober, that I could have ever shared my sober journey online. I see people that do, and they're constantly questioned. Like, people are looking at every little thing, and they're saying, like, the stuff that would have bothered me in my first 2 years sober that people would have said are things that, like, it's water off a duck's back today, right? So I've said this a lot on videos. There's no way, like, I give mad props to people that are willing to share their stories online. While you're just, for me, it was just like, I was trying to go day by day and not drink or pick up drugs. So when people are sharing their stories authentically online about being sober, I have mad respect for them. And then to have people question every little thing that you're doing on top of that, I can't even imagine. So going through a situation like this, not to mention influencers that people know that are going through a breakup, but on top of that, these allegations of DV. I mean, I can't even imagine what this girl is going through, because we live in a world today, right? And this is going to play out in what I'm going to say. We live in a world today where people don't really care about the facts. People care about who people like. And it's like, we live in this influencer world, right? Where it's a popularity contest in high school. That's exactly what it is. And so people don't really want to know the truth. They don't really care about the truth, A lot of times it's not even about those people. It's about the fandom of it. And so it's the believability, and I've said this a lot when it was talking about Tana Mojo and the believability of a victim, because we want what looks like a perfect victim in our society today, right? And so it becomes this fandom against fandom, right? Well, James Charles has this huge fandom. Now people are talking about he's going to be canceled and blah, 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 whatever. Here's the thing for me, and I have a lot of feelings about this, because people are like, in my comments or in my direct messages, being like, you told everybody. I've covered James Charles for a very long time. I started covering him again when the Colleen Ballinger allegations came out, okay? And it was interesting, the comments that I got. So the first round of the James Charles allegations, which I believe happened 5 years ago at Coachella, I did not cover that. For a long time, I did not love to cover really deep, dark situations on my channel. It wasn't what I wanted my channel to be. I wanted to flip a fan, put on lip gloss, have fun. I didn't want to have these deep, dark conversations, but I feel like they're important to have. I feel like they're very important to have. And so I kind of changed my mind. Colleen Ballinger and the allegations against Colleen Ballinger is what changed my mind, because I think that it's important to have many different voices, having different points of view, different perspectives, and having a conversation that exists online about specific topics. That's why I entered the conversation. At the same time, I started revisiting the James Charles allegations. The article, I believe, in Cosmopolitan came out, which was like, please uncancel me. I think it was Cosmopolitan or Vanity Fair. I think it was Cosmopolitan, where he was like, please uncancel me, and, all this kind of stuff. To me, James Charles, with a $10 million home, in which they said in the article, bought his parents a house, has a thriving makeup business, goes to events like Coachella, and flies all over the world, first class, and has extraordinary lifestyle, to me, is not canceled. And I want to make this very, very clear, because this is something I've talked about for a long time. Cancellation, to me, looks like you no longer are able to post a video. You don't have a platform anymore. You are no longer able to post on Instagram or TikTok. You're banned from those platforms, or you're demonetized. You have no way to earn money through the means that you did before, okay? And that then you are now, all of a sudden, if you haven't saved enough money, you're working at Applebee's up the street, or being a host at Walmart, because you have no marketable talents whatsoever, and so you have to do whatever you can possibly do, okay? And that would be cancellation for James Charles, where he's having to sell his house, sell his cars, things like that. When you still have a thriving career where you're getting hundreds of thousands of views on a channel, that's not cancellation to me. So when people want to talk about cancellation, when there are teachers out here fighting for their jobs that are educating our youth, when there are mothers and fathers, single fathers, parents together that are working 2 and 3 jobs just to put a roof over their kid's head or food on the table, that are standing on their feet in service jobs for 12 hours a day on concrete to a point where their knees are giving out and they're tired and they're not spending any time with their family or friends. Okay, to me, cry me a river that you put yourself in a situation where these allegations are coming out yet again, okay? And, people in my direct messages were saying things to me like, well, didn't you tell everybody, whatever. I wasn't the only one. A lot of people were telling things about James Charles. So if you guys do not know, okay, there were allegations, many allegations, okay? Not just that James has slept with or hit on multiple straight men, and that he has made them feel uncomfortable and said, don't you think you're bi-curious, blah, 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 whatever, okay? Then the Tani Westbrook video where James Charles, she alleged that James Charles thinks that he can get anybody because he's James Charles. Then the allegations of James Charles talking to minors, which he said in his video, taking accountability, that with a quick search on their profile page, she could have found out how old they were. Yet he was having conversations with them anyway. At least 2 minors that we know of, that he referred to them as his victims. He referred to them as his victims, okay? What's baffling to me about this is that in any other part of the world that we live in, okay, whether you're an attorney, a doctor, a movie star, we've seen this happen time and time again with movie stars, okay, that don't even call them their victims. Never come out and say they even have any victims. But if they did, okay, they're canceled and I'm talking, they are canceled, okay? When you talk about people like Kevin Spacey, will never work again in Hollywood, okay? And I think it's a fair comparison. And so then you have James Charles, who has a thriving career, yet got in a video and apologized to his 2 victims that were minors that he was having sexually explicit conversations with, okay? And people will say in my comment sections, well, why does he still have a career? Why wasn't he arrested? Well, part of it is the believability of victims, number 1. Number 2, the shame that goes along with victims if they don't want to step forward, okay? Number 3, if you watch any true crime documentary, if you watch that TikTok dance cult documentary, the one woman, she went to law enforcement, I think 6 or 7 times before they even were willing to step in at all. So, to me, and no offense to anybody out there that said it, but it's an ignorant statement when somebody says, if it were really that serious, law enforcement would they would get involved. What that says is you don't understand the justice system. You don't understand how the justice system works. Because the justice system, number 1, is typically not always on the side of victims. And there is a believability that comes into play with the victims, okay? It's why attorneys say things like, when you go to court, look a certain way, dress a certain way, say yes or no, sir. Because the victim is under scrutiny, right? Not to mention that the victim has to forever live. If one of these minor victims had come out, they would forever be known as the victim of James Charles. Who wants to live their life the rest that way, right? You know, and then there's the blaming of victims. Well, they didn't come out, so James Charles got away with it. But you're talking about 15-year-old kids, okay? And their parents. I mean, why would you want to come out in that situation, you know? And so then people are like, well, how does James Charles have a thriving career? I'll explain to you how he has a thriving career. Because at that time, James Charles' audience was average age of 12 to 20, okay? Well, we're talking 5 years. So those 12-year-olds are now 17, 18 years old. Those 20-year-olds are now in their late 20s at this point, okay? They're 27 to 30, okay? They're having careers. They're out of college. They're not paying attention to James Charles. They're not watching James Charles videos anymore, okay? They're probably scrolling through TikTok looking for funny videos or how to redo their house, okay? They're watching mommy bloggers. They're not watching James Charles anymore. Nobody cares. His makeup's not that great anyway. Let's just be for real, okay? So the 12-year-olds that were at that time 17, they do know what happened, okay? And a lot of them don't watch James Charles anymore. They've gone on to other people, or they're not even interested in the beauty community. So he probably does have a lingering 20% from that audience. But what James Charles did was, he rebuilt an entirely new audience. And it was very calculated what he did, okay? Not to mention that in Jen Lowe's reviews, like she did like an 8-9 hour series on James Charles alone. If you want to be educated on the history of James Charles, don't watch one of my videos. Go over and watch Jen's videos, okay? Her videos are fantastically done as a breakdown of what happened to James Charles and this whole world. And a lot of what she talks about in there is that every situation that he goes through, that he gets out of and is not held accountable for, it builds his ego. And I've said this a lot in videos, that what it does is, it says to him, I'm never going to get caught. I'm always going to get away. He literally lost 3 million subscribers, the largest amount of subscribers that anybody has ever lost on YouTube in one time, okay? And gained them back 3 days later. I mean, it's unheard of. You think about that, and what that tells you is that James Charles probably has this feeling inside that I'm untouchable. They're never going to take me down. They are never going to take me down, all right? When he is getting invited to major red carpet events, I just saw that he was invited to, that he was at the GLAAD Awards, okay? Which to me is just absolutely, absolutely baffling that he is invited to the GLAAD Awards. I was actually really, really disgusted about this. So if you don't know what it is, the GLAAD Media Award is a U.S. accolade bestowed by GLAAD to recognize and honor various branches of the media for their outstanding portrayals of LGBTQ people and the issues that affect their lives. And we are inviting James Charles to the GLAAD Awards, okay, as a gay role model. Now, I'm sorry, but do we not have enough under 30-year-old gay LGBTQI plus role models that we need to invite James Charles? So when you see that, okay, and you're a young gay person and you see that James Charles is at the GLAAD Awards, what that says is, and I'm disgusted by it, as a member of that community, I am disgusted, absolutely disgusted that the GLAAD organization, that GLAAD and the GLAAD Awards would invite James Charles to their award ceremony, because what that says is that you are willing to back and endorse, okay, a self-proclaimed predator that is a stigma that gay men have had to face for the last 200 years. And you're okay with this, GLAAD Awards, okay? You stand behind this. But there's no other under 30 LGBTQI plus role models that are not problematic. So when somebody sees this, what they see is, well, if GLAAD supports James Charles, then there must not be anything wrong with him. This is how he's rebuilt his career, okay? He's rebuilt his career by being invited to red carpet events and being invited to things like the GLAAD Awards, and this is not his first time. By RuPaul's Drag Race having him at the finale, okay, of his shows. By RuPaul's Drag Race queens being friends with James Charles, doing videos with James Charles, with celebrities doing videos with James Charles. When he is a self-proclaimed predator, when you have friends behind the scenes that are saying things to people like, if you knew James, like Manny said to me, if you knew James behind the scenes, you would know that he's not really like that. Well, Manny, my question to you is, if he's not really like that, why the fuck did he get in a video and say, to my victims, I apologize? What victims was he talking about? He was talking about 2 minor victims. Okay, so was that video performative? And that's why he took it down? Because he took it down and then he did another video called Open Conversation. But see, time's gone by, okay? James Charles did his time in the timeout seat. And enough time has gone by and people have forgotten. And I'll tell you how people have forgotten, okay? Because people have moved on with their lives and they're not concerned with James Charles anymore. They've grown up. They don't care, okay? And James Charles knew that and he was banking on that. So what did he do? He started doing videos, recreating TikTok dances, doing TikTok songs. He started pandering to the whole Roblox community. Well, what's the average age of people? I'm not saying that there aren't adults that play Roblox, okay? I'm not saying that. But the average age of Roblox is people that are younger. James has curated, and I hate that word, but it's the only way to describe it. He has curated and created an entirely new audience of young people that are 12 to 20 years old that do not know the history of James Charles, okay? I was watching this podcast interview with Antonio Garza, somebody that used to be friends with James Charles, and they're asking her what she thought. I think it's her podcast, and somebody's asking her what she thought about this James Charles, and she's like, are we surprised? Why are we surprised by this? James Charles has shown us over and 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 over again who he is as a person. And she said something that was so brilliant in her video, right? Or this podcast. Go look, it's up online. I saw like this long clip of it. She said, this is the thing, right? That people, it's like a meme, that people are like, so what that James Charles talked to these young people? Because they don't understand the entirety of this story. They don't understand Toddy coming out and talking about how he thought that he could get any straight man that he had. Which I also have an issue that gay organizations back James Charles, okay? When that is a stigma that gay men have fought for 200 years, that we hit on every straight man possible out there, which is not the truth. Which is why I sing the praises of my straight allies out there that have only been ever supportive and friendly to me, right? But James and this whole group of people that hit on these straight men, make it think it's funny, that think they can get any man in the world, okay? That have sexualized the LGBTQI plus community to the point where we're taken as a joke, okay? And the political climate that we live in right now, this is not funny when our rights are being stripped from us left and right, okay? So yes, I do take issue with the fact that the GLAAD Awards and other LGBTQI plus organizations are lifting James Charles up as a role model in our community to the youth that are seeing this that do not know the history of James Charles. It's extremely problematic. And James Charles isn't the only one being problematic in it. It's the organizations as well that are supporting him. And I don't give a fuck what PR company he has that's getting him on that red carpet. He doesn't belong there. And until James Charles is told no, like a 5-year-old child, over and over and over over again, he ain't gonna change his ways or get it, okay? And that's what's problematic about this, because people give more shits about what kind of money James Charles can put in their pockets or what kind of clout they can give him than actually doing the right thing, okay? From a societal point of view, and actually building up our youth and giving them the support they need instead of a fraudulent role model like James Charles. And Antonio Garza, in this interview, what she said was, no, the younger audience, his new younger audience, they don't know what he did. They don't understand it because they weren't there. They didn't live through it like we all did, right? And she said something brilliant. What she said was, and they shouldn't have to. And that's 100% correct, okay? They shouldn't have to. 12 to 17-year-olds should not have to understand what predatory behavior means, let alone have to live it, okay? They shouldn't have to understand what that means. They should be able to stay as innocent as long as they possibly want. And I'm not living in a world where I think that happens, okay? Trust me. You know, I was a teenager once too, and I partied and all that kind of stuff. But, like, let's talk about a 12-year-old, you know? 12-year-olds, there's still an innocence about them. They shouldn't have to understand that. So you got 12, 13, 14, 15-year-olds defending James Charles against predatory allegations, and nobody has a problem with this? Nobody, right? I mean, this is the sickness. So when people ask me what I think about the James Charles cancellation, first of all, there is no cancellation of James Charles. I think this whole situation is not surprising to me, but it's very sad. Okay, and I will be doing my follow-up video about this, but it's very sad. James Charles will continue to have a platform until people no longer are willing to platform James Charles, okay? Like the GLAAD Awards, like RuPaul's Drag Race, like celebrities, like the RuPaul's Drag Race queens. And come for me if you want. You know, but there is better makeup than you can use for drag makeup than James Charles makeup, okay? All my friends when I came out were drag queens. James Charles wasn't even alive. They were using makeup from the drugstore. They didn't need James Charles makeup to beat their face to be on RuPaul's Drag Race, and neither do any of these queens. To support somebody that is a self-proclaimed predator, to get yourself some clout and give themselves some clout, where do we sell out our morals and our values that we give more of a shit over clout and money than we do about somebody hurting somebody within our own community? I have seen some people that are straight allies to our community care more about this issue than people within our own community. And then we wonder why our community is divided. I don't understand why people are not taking more of an issue with James Charles and never have, okay? So people want to know what I think about it, not having done all of my research, but just reading this article and seeing the few clips here or there that I've seen and watching part of an interview. What I think is, for this gal, I feel incredibly sorry for her. I think it's really, really sad. For James Charles, I'm not surprised. And I've said in multiple videos, it's going to happen again. Something else is going to happen. There's going to be another situation with James Charles, okay? And every time he gets away with it, it just builds his ego. So what did he do when he lost his young audience? He built an entirely new audience of young people that didn't understand the implications of his actions the first time. And that's how he got his out, because they don't care. They don't understand. They shouldn't have to understand. There's no reason why a 12-year-old that's never gone through that should have to understand what predatory allegations are. Okay? So why are they defending him? Because they don't understand the complexity and the seriousness of it. You know? My brother and sister-in-law don't even let my nephews, who one of them is 12, even have TikTok, okay? Or Facebook Reels. They don't even let them have that stuff because they don't want them have any, you know, I'm sure they get around it from time to time and see stuff, but they don't want them to have any of that kind of stuff, right? You know, it's like, where are the parents in this situation that are saying that the kids are on there on TikTok? Who cares if he had these allegations? You know, it's like, do the parents care? Does anybody care? Like, give me a break. Am I surprised that this has happened again? 100% not. You know? Yes, this guy is 20. You know, if it happened, it was consensual. Am I surprised that there's another sexual scandal with James Charles? No, not at all. Do I think there's probably been 10 sexual scandals that James Charles never got caught for? Oh, I think there's probably 30. James Charles thinks he can get away from everything. He has a circle of people around him that protect him. And until they're put in a circle, or until they're put in a spot where they have to come out and defend themselves, they don't ever say anything about it, right? So he's completely protected by this group of people. He's protected by organizations, celebrities that use his makeup. He's protected by people that he does TikToks with and YouTube videos. He's protected by GLAAD that invites him to his organization. James Charles might be the most protected predator that we have ever seen in the influencer world ever. And it disgusts me. That's what I think about it. Makes me sad. Because at some point, it makes me sad. But I will be watching all this stuff, and I will be doing a follow-up video. But people were asking me what I thought, and so I thought, you know what, I'm gonna make my video today before I get into all this, letting y'all know what I think. That's what I think about it. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.